What is going on, guys? Thanks for joining the channel. This one's going to be, basically, we're going to do a huge road trip with the Mojave to Moab, then to Las Vegas, and then to California, and then back here to Southern Arizona. So approximately 2,000-mile road trip. I'm going to record some videos, clips, each step of the way to update you on the miles per gallon we're getting on that particular loop. Say from here to Moab will be the first section. So we'll do a little video then. And then we'll do a video when we get to Vegas, a video when we get to California, and a video when we get back. Kind of see how the MPGs do, you know, in certain areas, under certain conditions, and then overall average altogether. So stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy. What's going on, guys? First leg of the trip is complete. We have arrived in Moab, Utah. So the Jeep's doing great so far. Getting really good gas mileage, I think. And I don't know if the tonneau cover had something to do with it, but it seems like it was a little bit better than previous road trips I've done. It also could just be because the engine's breaking in, but I'll show you what we got so far. So this is from Tucson to, I reset everything on my way here. So this is from Tucson to Moab. So you can see it says average of 19.6. So I'll show you what we got here. So I reset the trip, and you can see it's at 550.6 miles. So that's pretty good, 19.6 miles per gallon, going 550 miles. That was with 4 people in the car, and the bed full of stuff. You know how it is when you travel with a family, luggage and all kinds of stuff. So after Moab, we're also going to California, like I mentioned. So we'll see what the fuel mileage is on that leg of the trip. I'm not going to reset the trip. I'm going to leave it like this, and we'll just calculate the whole trip and see what we get. And then from here to California, and then from California back to Arizona. So let's see how it goes. All right, guys, good morning. We are leaving Moab, Utah. And we've been here for 2 days. We did 4 trails. So the past 2 days have been nothing but off-roading and a little bit of driving around town. As you can see, I got the Jeep all cleaned up at the car wash down the road. And then I brought my McGuire's with me, and spray detailed it after I was done. For the next leg of our road trip, we're actually a nice little Rubicon next to us. We're going to be headed to Las Vegas, and we're going to hang out there tonight. And then we're going from there to California. So let's show you the mileage update. That's what you're here for. So we had 40, let's see, I don't remember what the mileage was yesterday. We're at 49.36 now. Start it up. And the average right now, we're at 16.6. I did not reset nothing. I left it from what you guys saw it in the last video clip. And this is with 2 days of trail riding and off-roading. So 16.6, and we're up to 724 miles so far on the trip. So even with 2 days of off-roading, you know, it only brought the MPGs down a little bit to 16.6. So we'll see what it looks like once we get to Vegas and how many more miles we got for that. And yeah, so far so good. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with the fuel mileage so far. So we'll see how she does on the next leg of the trip. Stay tuned. Hey guys, update number 3. We are leaving Las Vegas, Nevada. Last update was when we were leaving Moab. So you can see we got $53.99 on the Jeep now. So if we go down to the fuel mileage right now, so that is from Moab to Vegas. I got 17.6. I go back to trip A. That's the total for the whole trip so far. That's what we're averaging, 17.7. And that's with the 2 days of off-roading included. Now, the 17.6 average yesterday, going from Moab to Vegas, considering the speeds we were going, the speed limit was 80. We were in excess of 80 miles per hour almost the whole trip, the whole 460 miles. So I would say it's 17.6 mpg. It's an average of 82, 83 miles an hour. Is pretty good. So if you were going, you know, 70, 72, 73, probably see close to 19, maybe 20. When you get near 80, fuel mileage just tanks. So, but pretty good overall. We'll give you guys another update once we get to California and see how we're at there. All right, guys, update number 4. So it's actually been a couple days. We drove from Moab, Utah to Anaheim, California. We stayed at Knott's Berry Farm for a couple days, did the park. And then yesterday we drove to Huntington Beach. So the drive from Moab to here, I reset trip B, and it was 279.8 miles, and I got 19.5 miles to the gallon. That was, quite honestly, going probably like 80-ish miles an hour the whole way. So pretty good. I'll show you guys where we're at now after driving to the beach yesterday and bumper to bumper California traffic. As you can see, we're at 5709 on the odometer. And let's see where we're at. So for the trip, averaging 18.5. Total of 1497 so far. And since I left Moab, I'm averaging 18.9. It was 19.5 at 279 miles, but the last few miles have been driving around stoplight to stoplight pretty much to get to the Huntington Beach, and then stop for dinner on the way back to the hotel. So that kind of dropped it down a little bit, but it's doing pretty good. Road trip, in my opinion, for the driving we're doing and the speeds we're taking. So today we're driving home, which is about a 7.5 hour drive. So I'll update you guys when we get home, and we'll kind of summarize the whole trip and, you know, my thoughts. All right, guys, we're back. 6212 on the odometer, 18 miles per gallon flat on this trip. That's what we ended up finishing at, 18 miles per gallon. I get to the odometer here, and it just dropped. But it was 18, yep, still at 18 there. And 2,000 miles was the total trip. Leaving Arizona, headed up to Moab, over to across Utah to Las Vegas, Nevada, and then from there to Anaheim, California. From Anaheim, California, back to southern Arizona. This last leg of the trip was the most brutal because of the crosswinds and stuff. We were fighting some major winds coming back. So it was 17.9. It just dropped 17.8 because we're idling. But I got 17.9 on the way back at 502 miles from California. So that was that. Overall, truck drove pretty good. Other than, you know, when you're in winds, which was the last part of the trip coming back. For some reason, coming through Arizona, when you're coming from California, whether you're taking the 10 or the 8, which are the two major routes across California into Arizona, either one, I feel like every single time I'm fighting a headwind or a heavy-duty crosswind that's just blowing you and you're fighting it the whole time. I don't know what it is about that route coming across that part of the country there. It's just always, no matter what time of year, wind for some reason. So Jeep did pretty good. Just got it all unloaded, so we're out in the yard here still. I get it pulled in the garage, and then we'll discuss further my final thoughts on the trip. All right, guys. So it's actually been a day or two. It's been 2 days since we filmed the last clip there when we got back from the trip. I was just exhausted. Wanted to get my thoughts together on my overall thoughts on the trip and how the Jeep performed. And went and got it washed. It was disgusting. So I had to go get it cleaned. And thinking about it, as you've seen, it averaged 18 miles per gallon over 2,000 miles, which, you know, for a Jeep really isn't bad. Now, I guess there's other ways to look at it. It is a mid-sized truck. So for a mid-sized truck, is 18 miles per gallon good? That's probably debatable. I don't know what, you know, the Ford Rangers are getting, but I know, you know, past Tacomas I've had probably would have done maybe a mile or 2 a gallon better than this did. Now, taking into consideration too, there was the 2 days of trail riding, which, you know, killed the miles per gallon as well. So if you take that out of the equation, you're probably looking at like 18 and a half, say, average, maybe a little less. So it didn't do bad. It drove nice. I would say one thing that irritated me on the trip would be on a windy road. Like most Jeeps, it gets, you know, it's not blowing all over the road like, say, JT or JK would, but you feel the wind a little. Not as bad because of the longer wheelbase of it being a Gladiator and not a regular Wrangler, but you hear the wind noise inside. And on the freeway for 8 hours driving, after a while it was getting to me by the end of the trip a little bit. So, but this video is really about the fuel mileage. I'm going to have another video coming out about the overall impressions of the Jeep after, you know, 6,000 some odd miles now on it. I'll have that video out next after this one, so stay tuned for that. We'll do like a full review, my thoughts on it, goods, bads, and uglies. And but this is really just about the fuel mileage. So if you're happy with 18 miles per gallon on a 2,000 mile trip out of a mid-sized truck on factory 33s, then it did good. But if you're hoping for more because you bought a mid-sized truck and thinking you'd get better than a full-size would, then this is definitely not the experiment you want to run, because clearly you're not going to do, you know, 22 miles to the gallon on a road trip. Now, if you're putting along at 55, 60 miles an hour, which is probably how they test these things for EPA ratings, then maybe you'll get close to, you know, in the 20s. But every freeway in America is 70 miles per hour or more, and if you're doing less than that, you need to run off the road. So a couple of the freeways I was on, as I pointed out in earlier clips, were 80 mile per hour speed limits, and even in the 75 mile an hour speed limits, you're doing 80, pushing 80 miles an hour. So, you know, if you're going, let's say between, I probably averaged, you know, thinking about the whole trip, probably between 77 and 84 miles an hour, somewhere in that range, the whole trip. 18 miles per gallon isn't really that bad. But I will say, and I had a Silverado Trail Boss, 2 vehicles prior to this, and that vehicle did just as good, if not better, with a 5.3 liter V8 10-speed tranny. So pick your poison. If you want a mid-sized truck, you get decent gas mileage, it's not bad. If you don't travel that fast and you drive slower, you'll probably get closer to the 20 mark, but don't expect 20 to 22 miles a gallon on a road trip with this truck. It's just not happening. I wasn't hauling much weight. We had a couple suitcases in the back. You know, my son's beach toys for the day we went to the beach, which, you know, don't weigh anything. And me, my wife, and my 2 kids in it. So I would say we were hauling maybe 550 pounds total in the Jeep between the 4 of us and a couple bags of luggage and stuff. Really not a ton of weight. The speeds, I think, kept the miles per gallon down for sure, but I don't know anybody goes on a road trip across America in these days with the speed limits what they are and travels, you know, under 70 at minimum. So, you know, it is what it is. It's a Jeep. It does pretty good on gas. I wasn't disappointed. I think it did about what I expected it would. I had my fingers crossed and hoped for more, but it got about what I expected it would. So, and that's just from my experience driving it around, you know, locally prior, and what I know it'll do around town. So it does pretty good around town, gas mileage wise. On the highway, I actually think that it does better fuel mileage, saves you better on fuel, saves you more on fuel if you do a lot of local driving around town as opposed to a lot of freeway trips, because on the freeway these things are susceptible to the headwinds and the crosswinds, and that really tanks the MPGs. There was a couple periods where I was getting 12 or 13 miles per gallon for long stretches because of the headwind and the crosswinds were so bad. Other vehicles aren't as susceptible to that, you know, with better aerodynamics. And so around town it does pretty good on gas. I mean, I average typically 8 to 18 miles per gallon with mixed driving. So the average of 18 miles per gallon, mostly highway, is really a testament to the aerodynamics, I think, of the vehicle, because it probably could do better, you know, if it wasn't a box on wheels, basically. But we're dealing with what we're dealing with here. So I hope this was a little bit helpful for some people maybe considering buying one. And, you know, you're going to do a lot of road trips, and miles per gallon is a big thing for you. 18 miles per gallon, I'm happy with that. You know, if it was less than that, I would be probably pretty disappointed. But 18 miles per gallon, I can't really complain. It's still a Jeep. It's got 33-inch all-terrain tires. You know, if I want better miles per gallon, we take my wife's Traverse, and I get 27, 28 on a highway with that on a road trip. So that thing does way better. So we'll take that on a family trip. But this was kind of, you know, go to Moab, do some trails, have a little fun. Wanted to take the Jeep out on a road trip anyway, see how it did. Saved the wife's vehicle some mileage as well, and we had a good time. So road trip was successful. I would say, in my opinion, the miles per gallon was adequate. I don't think you can, if you're going into buying a Gladiator and expecting to get 20, 22 miles per gallon on a regular basis, especially on the freeway, I think you're delusional. Could you get it if you get a nice tailwind and a perfectly calm day, no wind, flat roads? Of course. But if you do what I did and do a 2,000 mile trip, and you average the good and the bad sections together, and you see what I got. So it's 2,000 miles. It's not a small sample size. I think that's pretty much what you can expect driving the freeways of America in a Jeep Mojave. So that's it for this one, folks. Figure about a week from now, I'll have another video out on my overall thoughts and opinions of the Jeep itself, and what my plans are for it moving forward, if I plan on keeping it, if I plan on getting rid of it, if I like it, if I don't like it, all that's to come. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning into the channel. I hope this was informational for some of you considering buying one, and we'll catch you on the next one.